I'm a 44-year-old woman, and my husband Michael is 50. We've been married for 10 years now. We met for the first time when we were both in our 30s at a local art gallery, looking at the same painting. We just started chatting and hit it off right away. It was like we were meant to be friends, and before long, he asked me out. As we got to know each other, it felt like I'd known him my whole life. I grew up as the oldest of three kids. We didn't have a lot of money, so things like eating out at a fast food place were special treats for birthdays only. My dad always taught us to work hard for what we wanted. I took that to heart, worked hard in school, and even did some modeling jobs to help pay for college. By the time I graduated, I didn't owe any money, which was awesome. I was working my way up in a company, starting as a junior associate. Michael's life, though, was pretty different from mine. His family had more money. His dad had a really good job and made sure they were always okay financially. Michael didn't have to worry about college costs because his dad's job covered it. Michael ended up getting an internship at his dad's company, and from there, he worked really hard to make his own way. Even though we came from different backgrounds, we both love art and music. That's what brought us together and made us fall in love. Oh, and Michael has a daughter who's 17 years old from his previous marriage. His daughter Candace never really liked me from the beginning. She never seemed to warm up to me and often refused to engage with me whenever we met. It felt like she somehow held me responsible for her parents not being together, even though I met Michael long after his divorce was completed with his ex-wife. I understood her feelings and tried to give her the space she needed to come to terms with our relationship. Just for context, Michael and his ex-wife AmITheA were married for only 3 years. They were college sweethearts, so they decided to get married. But when they did, everything changed for the worse. She was a stay-at-home mother while Michael worked hard to bring in the money. One day, Michael returned home from a work trip earlier than planned, only to discover her in bed with his best friend, Tom. This was an incredibly difficult time for Michael as he lost the two most important people in his life on the same day. The betrayal by AmITheA had left him shattered in the aftermath. He made the painful decision to file for divorce. The divorce proceedings between Michael and AmITheA were painfully bitter, primarily because AmITheA was determined to retain ownership of their house, even though it belonged to Michael. The battles didn't just end with the property. They extended into a challenging custody dispute over Canvas as well, due to AmITheA's infidelity during their marriage. The judge ultimately didn't grant her ownership of the house, but did grant both parents custody, ensuring that Candace would continue to have a connection with both of them. AmITheA's anger over not acquiring the property festered, and over the years she manipulated Candace's feelings, turning her against her father. Meanwhile, Michael chose not to disclose his ex-wife infidelity to their daughter, attempting to shield her from the painful details of their past. I found out about all of this when we first started dating each other. Michael wanted to be completely honest with me about his past, and I really appreciated that. Once Michael had invited Candace to join us on the trip to Africa, hoping it would provide an opportunity for us to bond. I was optimistic and thought it could be a turning point for our relationship. Unfortunately, it didn't quite go as planned. During the trip, Candace seemed irritated at me and often erupted into sudden, unprovoked anger. If I got too close to Michael, she would lash out using hurtful words like gold digger. Michael was quick to admonish her for her behavior, but she would just smirk at me, making it clear that she wasn't ready to accept me into her life. I knew the situation with his ex-wife and daughter was complicated, but our love for each other was strong, and I was willing to navigate these challenges with him. After a whirlwind romance, we got married. It was a small, intimate ceremony with just our closest friends and family. We were excited about the life we were going to build together. AmITheA and Candace never attended our wedding, despite our invitation. Our marriage was going great initially. We traveled the world while we both continued with odd jobs. I was deeply passionate about my career, and I had no intention of giving it up. Meanwhile, AmITheA was living together with Tom after their divorce. Candace had her own apartment thanks to Michael's financial support, and she was working as a social media executive in a reputed company. 3 years into our marriage, we were overjoyed to welcome our son. However, the pregnancy had been tough on me, and it was made even harder whenever Candace came to visit. She would make cruel, unsolicited comments about my weight and appearance whenever Michael wasn't around, as she would remark how he would leave me eventually. And now that I am a fat cow. This deeply troubled me. And after I shared my concerns with Michael, he decided the canvas would no longer visit our home. They began meeting at cafes instead to avoid any further distress for me. When our son Nick was born, we were beyond happy. Despite becoming a parent, I was determined to keep working. So we decided to hire a babysitter to help us care for him. When my maternity leave ended, I eagerly returned to my job. Even though we were in a stable and comfortable place in our lives, I cherished my financial independence and the ability to continue pursuing my career. If Candace had issues with me before, they seemed to intensify after Nick came into our lives at family events, which we would sometimes organize. She would target Nick attempting to bully him, which left our son in tears and seeking our help. While I understood her hate towards me, I couldn't stand by and allow her to take her anger out on Nick, our innocent little boy. I banned her from ever coming to our house again. We all stopped hosting family events at our house. Since then, now coming on to the issue at hand. As we were getting older, John and I realized the importance of planning for the future. We decided to create a will to ensure our affairs were in order. Given that John had already provided a flat for Candace, he designated me and our son as the inheritors of our family home. His remaining assets, which were the money in his personal savings account, would go to Candace. Meanwhile, I had my own assets, which I intended to leave to my son, ensuring that he would be well taken care of throughout his life. We both felt this was the right decision to secure our family's future and provide for Nick as he grew up. When AmITheA and Candace got wind of our will, all hell broke loose. I'm not sure if Michael mentioned that by mistake or his parents did, but they were not happy at all. AmITheA called Michael demanding that they deserved to have the house as she was married to him first, but he firmly stood his ground. He reiterated that he had always provided for Candace from her child support to her college expenses to buying her an apartment. He told her that he would ensure that Candace is secured in the future, but he was going to leave the property to our son. This seemed to anger her even further, and AmITheA sent me a long text message where she called me every name in the book. I showed Michael the message, who asked me not to engage with her further and block her immediately. The following day, Candace showed up at our doorstep, clearly upset. I knew she was here to talk about the will with us. I didn't want her to create a scene in front of our son, so I quickly arranged for my parents to pick him up. The three of us, left. Candace made her intentions known. She insisted that my son and I should give up the property, because as the firstborn of Michael, she believed she deserved the house. Despite feeling irritated, I remained silent and looked to Michael to handle the situation. He explained to Candace that he had always provided her with everything she needed in life. He assured her that he would be leaving her his savings and that he also had a commitment to secure my and our son's future since he was married to me. Leaving the family property to us was his way of ensuring our well-being. Candace again shifted her focus onto me and insisted that she expected me to do the right thing. I calmly expressed my support for my husband's decision, which only seemed to infuriate her. She raised her voice and threatened to take me to court. At this point, I didn't want to escalate the situation any further, and I requested that she leave us alone. As anticipated, in a few weeks, I received a legal notice informing me that both Candace and AmITheA were taking me to court over the property. Their accusations included the claim that I married Michael for his money and had manipulated him into taking away their family property. Michael and I consulted our lawyer, and we were assured that Candace and AmITheA didn't have strong legal grounds to support their claims. However, despite the legal advice, I couldn't shake my worries, particularly because I didn't want our son to experience the drama surrounding this family dispute. As the court date approached, the tension in our household grew in court. AmITheA's lawyer was relentless in their efforts to assert that Michael needed to prioritize his first child, Candace, above all else. Their argument centered on pushing for a full-blown trial to determine the property's ownership. Since we lived in Colorado, though, the legal system required us to go through a jury trial, which only added to the complexity of the situation. The looming court trial had both Michael and me on edge, especially since AmITheA's lawyer was resorting to some dirty tactics, digging up our past to make their case in court. Our own lawyer was doing his best, but the situation was undeniably stressful during this time. Out of the blue, we received an unexpected call from Tom, who insisted on meeting us at home. Since the painful discovery of Tom's involvement with AmITheA, Michael had cut off all ties with his once best friend and didn't want to meet him. I convinced him to hear Tom out just in case it would help us resolve this dispute sooner. When Tom came over to our house, we were half expecting it to be another one of the opposing lawyer's ploys to undermine our case. However, to our surprise, Tom was here with a different intention to talk. He revealed that he was here to make a confession about something that would be incredibly difficult for Michael to hear. Michael sat motionless as Tom revealed that AmITheA had been seeing him behind Michael's back for a very long time, and they had been involved romantically, even before AmITheA became pregnant. I held my breath as Tom continued disclosing a bombshell that none of us had expected. Apparently, when AmITheA got pregnant, she confided in him that she believed the child was actually his. However, because Michael was financially more stable, she had chosen to keep the truth hidden and remained in the marriage. Tom had pleaded with her to reveal the real father to Michael, but she had consistently refused to do so. I couldn't believe how AmITheA could manage to keep this a secret for so long, and the audacity she had for fighting over the property while keeping this monumental secret from Michael. It was mind-boggling how she had managed to maintain this charade for so many years, all the while causing such turmoil within our family. Tom explained that he had kept silent all these years because he believed that AmITheA truly loved him. However, witnessing the pain that we were going through because of the court trial, he finally saw her for who she really was. He started weeping, asking Michael to forgive him. Michael, still in a state of shock, sat there silently. I was filled with anger and frustration, especially seeing the emotional turmoil that my husband was going through. This man believed his whole life that Candace was his daughter, and now he was being told that it was all a lie. I had chosen to remain silent in the past. Whenever AmITheA and Candace were rude to me, as I wanted to maintain a cordial relationship with them. However, with the truth now out in the open, there was no point in continuing this charade. I promptly contacted a lawyer and relayed the confession, and Tom had made our lawyer informed us that for our statements to be held in court, we would need to provide concrete evidence such as a DNA test. So we decided to invite Candace over for dinner using the pretense of wanting to meet her. Our plan was to discreetly collect a glass or a spoon from her for a test, which would help strengthen our case. Candace, though surprised, agreed to come over. Her demeanor was as rude as ever, and she continued to belittle me and my son. She remained confident that she and her mother would win the case, taunting me that I would be losing everything soon. I chose to ignore her comments, hoping that this would be the last time we would need to endure such behavior. After she left, we immediately reached out to our lawyer so he could collect Candace's cup for a DNA test. On the day we were scheduled to appear in court, we received the news that Tom's confession was accurate. Candace was indeed his daughter. As I let out a sigh of relief, I couldn't help but feel empathy for my husband, who had been dragged into this turmoil because of his ex-wife's lies and manipulation. I informed the lawyer that I was ready to take the stand that day and share our side of the story in court. My lawyer agreed that this would be the best course of action for us to reveal the truth. As I took the stand, I felt a mix of emotions: anger at AmITheA for her deceit, sympathy for Michael, and determination to protect our family's rights. Taking the stand in front of the jury, I braced myself and began answering our lawyer's questions. We delved into my past, my career, and the fact that I never gave up on my job, even after we got married. I went on to recount the emotional torment, taunts, and abuse I had endured from both AmITheA and Candace over the years. We presented screenshots as proof of my story. I told the jury that Candace never accepted my presence from the very beginning and had even refused to attend our wedding since we had our son. She had been verbally abusive towards him as well. Then I revealed Tom's confession in front of the jury. I spoke about how we found out who Candace's real father was and the dirty secret that AmITheA have kept hidden from everyone for so long. Candace looked at me in disbelief, and I watched her exchange angry whispers with her lawyer. Our lawyer then showed everyone the DNA results, which proved what I had just said. I looked at AmITheA's face and satisfaction as she realized she couldn't escape the truth of her past anymore. Candace, on the other hand, looked shocked as if her world was crumbling, just as ours had when we first learned the news. The emotions in the courtroom were raw. Now that everything was out in the open, there were no grounds for AmITheA and Candace to stand on. AmITheA looked defeated, and Candace, who had been so sure of her victory, was now grappling with the fallout of her mother's actions. There was no case left for their lawyer to fight about anymore. Fortunately, it didn't take long for the jury to decide and come back with a verdict. The judge announced the verdict where we were awarded the inheritance of our family home, just as Michael had always wanted, and the jury acknowledged that Candace and AmITheA had no legitimate claim to it. Since the court decision for the past couple of days, we have been receiving mixed reactions from our close family and friends. Although a majority of them understand our situation and agree what we did was right, a few seem to think that it was cruel for us to reveal the truth and shatter Candace's life. So here I am on Reddit asking for your thoughts. Do you think I was too for refusing to part with our property, with our stepdaughter, and eventually revealing everything in court and not to her personally? Update 1. Hello everyone. It's been 3 days since my last post here, and I've been carefully reading all your comments and taking in your advice. I really appreciate the support and thoughts you all shared. Quite a few of you have suggested that Candace might have already known about her mother's deceit, but honestly, I can't see that being true. Let me paint the picture for you. The moment we presented the DNA test results in court, I could see the shock and disbelief on Candace's face. It was clear she had no idea. The whole court scene was intense, and when the judge finally ruled in our favor, I felt a massive weight lift off my shoulders. It was a mix of relief and sadness. Relief that the truth was finally out, but sad that it had to come to this. Winning the trial wasn't about victory, it was about clearing the air and moving forward. Despite some of my relatives thinking otherwise, we weren't the ones who initiated this. AmITheA and Candace brought us to court, and all we did was reveal what was true. It's been a challenging time, but now I don't have to worry about the uncertainties that were hanging over our future. I'm trying to stay positive, and am somewhat content with how things ended. However, while I can start to put this behind me, the situation has taken a much heavier toll on my husband, Michael. The revelation from the DNA test that he is not Candace's biological father has completely turned his world upside down. Michael has been deeply affected by this, and it's heart-wrenching to see him struggle so much. He has barely been able to eat or sleep, and I see him trying to wrap his mind around the fact that Candace, whom he has always considered his daughter, doesn't share his DNA. The emotional roller coaster doesn't stop there because the truth about her paternity was just the tip of the iceberg. When Michael and AmITheA divorced, it was a difficult phase, filled with hurt and misunderstandings. Now, with the revelation that Tom, AmITheA's former friend, is actually Candace's biological father, it's reopened old wounds in ways I couldn't have anticipated. Imagine the complexity. Tom wasn't just an old acquaintance. He turned out to be intimately involved with AmITheA during her marriage to Michael, resulting in Candace. This kind of betrayal is not something you easily come to terms with. Michael is grappling with a mix of betrayal, loss, and confusion. He's questioning many things about the past, about what he thought was real, and what this means for his relationship with Candace moving forward. Seeing him in so much pain, I felt it was crucial to find him some professional help. It's important he has someone neutral to talk to, someone who can guide him through these tangled emotions and help him find a way to heal. That's why I booked him an appointment with a therapist. He starts his sessions next week, and I'm hopeful that this will be a step in the right direction for him to begin processing everything and maybe start to find some peace. It's a lot for anyone to handle, and while I'm trying to be there for him as much as I can, I know this journey is his to travel, and all I can do is support him as best I can. I'll keep updating here as we go along, and once again, thank you all for your continued support and kindness during this tough time. Update 2. Hello everyone, it's been a whole month since my last update here, and a lot has happened since then. I know many of you have been following our story closely and offering your insights and support, which has been incredibly helpful during these challenging times. So I wanted to give you a detailed update on everything that's been going on with us. Firstly, as I've shared before, my husband has started attending therapy sessions regularly. It was a big step for him to seek professional help, and it's not been easy. Therapy is a process, and while there's no quick fix, I'm starting to see some small but positive changes in him. He's slowly getting better, but it's clear that fully recovering from this emotional turmoil is going to take a while. Every session seems to bring up a lot of feelings for him, and some days are definitely harder than others. But he's committed to this journey, and I'm so proud of the strength he's showing by facing these difficult emotions head on. Now, for the unexpected turn of events, Candace reached out to us last week. To be honest, we were quite surprised. After everything that transpired, we thought she might never want to speak to us again. She called out of the blue and apologized for everything we've been through. Initially, I was skeptical about her motives. Was this apology genuine, or was she just upset about her mother's role in the drama? I decided not to push too hard on these questions during our conversation. Instead, I listened to what she had to say. During the call, Candace shared that she had been feeling jealous of me for a long time. She believed that I had somehow taken her father away from her, a misconception that fueled a lot of her negative feelings towards me. This wasn't entirely shocking to me, as I had sensed her resentment in the past. However, it was still painful to hear how deep her animosity had gone. She admitted to outright hating me, which was hard to swallow, but it was important for these feelings to be out in the open if we were ever going to move past them. The court case that revealed the truth about her parentage had obviously been a major shock to her. She had grown up believing her father was the one who cheated on her mother, but the DNA results and the ensuing revelations in court showed that it was actually AmITheA, her mother, who had been unfaithful. Realizing that she had been living a lie her entire life, Candace's world was turned upside down. She told us how this new truth had forced her to reevaluate everything she thought she knew about her family. In a particularly emotional moment, Candace begged Michael not to stop being a part of her life. Despite the biological revelation, Michael reassured her that his feelings hadn't changed. He still saw her as his daughter, and that bond wasn't something that could be broken by genetics. This seemed to provide her with some much-needed comfort and brought her to tears. It appeared she had been holding on to a lot of fear that Michael would reject her. Candace also extended an apology to me for everything she had put me through. She expressed a hope that I could forgive her one day. It was a lot to process, and while I appreciated her apology, I had to be honest with her. I explained that things were still not okay between us, and it would take time and genuine effort on both our parts before any real healing could begin. I wasn't ready to pretend everything was fine or to rush into reconciliation. Amidst all this, I've been trying to focus on the well-being of our family, particularly our son. The court trial and all its emotional fallout took up so much of our time and energy that I felt like I hadn't been able to give him the attention he deserves. To make up for that, I'm planning a secret family vacation. I think a getaway is exactly what we need. A chance to step away from all the stress and chaos, to relax and enjoy some quality time together as a family. I'm really looking forward to disconnecting from our daily struggles and recharging our batteries. I'll be sure to keep you all updated on how the vacation goes and any other developments. Thanks again for all your support and for sticking with us through this roller coaster of events. I'll write again soon with more updates. Update 3. After 3 months of no contact, AmITheA showed up at our doorstep. I was torn about letting her in, but I was worried about the neighbors overhearing any potential shouting as she'd done that before. Reluctantly, we allowed her in, but we made it clear that any outbursts would lead to a call to the police. AmITheA explained that Tom had decided to leave her and asked her to move out of his house by the end of the month. She was in tears as she revealed that he didn't want to marry her anymore. After what he saw Michael and me go through with nowhere to go, she wanted to move in with Candace, even though Candace strongly opposed the idea. We learned that since the trial, Candace had cut off all contact with her mother, accusing her of manipulating her. AmITheA was only here because she wanted us to talk to Candace regarding this situation. She wanted us to convince Candace about letting her mother move in. Before I could say something, I witnessed my husband lose his temper for the first time. He firmly told AmITheA that he had purchased the apartment for Candace only. Hence, it was Candace's decision whether she could live with her. He expressed how she never even bothered to apologize after cheating on him all those years and now expected us to help her out. He told her that he was glad Tom had seen the truth and was leaving her. AmITheA tried to justify her lies, saying that she feared being kicked out of the house while she was pregnant. And had she revealed the truth earlier to Michael, I couldn't listen to her excuses any longer, so I asked her to leave. I felt we had given her a fair chance to explain herself, and there was no point in prolonging the conversation. After AmITheA departed, Michael reached out to Candace to warn her about the possibility of her mother forcing her to let her stay in the apartment. He emphasized that if she allowed it, there would be no way to make AmITheA leave. Candace assured him that she had no intention of allowing, that she planned to change the locks to prevent AmITheA from entering and would inform her mother that she was unwelcome. As for me, I've had my fill of this drama lately. I have been discussing with Michael the idea of selling our family home and relocating to another state to escape this turmoil. I had emphasized that for the sake of our son and our marriage, we needed to seriously consider this move. Although it is a tough decision, Michael has come to accept it, particularly since AmITheA's unannounced visit demonstrated that we need to put some distance between us and her. Given the uncertainty of whether she will ever leave us in peace, moving out of this city seems like the best choice. Michael's job can be done remotely, and I'm open to starting fresh at a new company if it means finding happiness away from these toxic people. We will begin the process of selling our family home next month, and hopefully by the end of this year, we will be starting afresh in the new place. It is time for us to turn the page on this chapter of our lives and begin anew.